Okay guys, here we are with the ESM Mig 3. I just got it in a couple days ago. Just took a few slots out of the box. Real pretty airplane. Looks like it's got a lot of nice panel line work on the fuselage, everything. Even though it says only 80-inch wingspan, the chord on it's almost 20 inches on the center section. Looks like a really good airplane. I'm getting ready to start installing the cockpit kit on this. I've got the information together. We're going to figure out where we're going to start cutting, and we'll move along from there. So I'll figure out what we need to do, and then I'll be back. Okay, you can see what I've done. I've got out my 3M tape. It's the kind of takes contours pretty well, and it's the 1/4-inch type. And I've come from the corner, the edge, all the way around, and I put the tape all the way around the edge. And what we're going to do is going to cut to the inside of that tape. This will open up the fuselage so we see where we're going to go. It's according to which version the Mig 3 you're looking at. Some had nothing in behind here except for an oxygen tank off to the side on one side, and others had radio boxes. So it's just according to which version you're going to do, or which version you say it is, because I couldn't find online which exact version this was. But anyway, we're going to start off by cutting this out. I think by cutting that, I'm not sure if we'll get into this former here or not. If we do, it's just like on the other planes. I just would cut this on the side here and just drop that lower. So all your control rods or your lines going through will come down below the cockpit itself, and you can run those a little bit lower into the airplane. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get that cut and see what else we need to relieve. We may have to move that former back a little bit, but we'll get it cut out and go from there. Hey guys, here we are back with the Mig fuselage, getting ready. I've actually already installed the cockpit. I did want to show you something else before I go into showing you how to put it in. You saw when I put the 3M tape all the way around. I wanted to show you that I did come down here, and you see the parting line, or where it changes the angle. The tape went against that angle and a 1/4 inch this way. So you have a 1/4 inch from where the angle here comes down to where it turns flat, a 1/4 inch this way. So that's how the cockpit fits in there. I just want to make sure that you saw that. There's a 1/4 inch all the way around, and then there's 1/4 inch from that parting line forward. What we did have to remove this one support across here. If you're worried about the strength, you can always come back and add a piece of after you install it, or right after you get the install and before you glue it in, put you a piece of hard balsa or a piece of spruce or something across the fuselage, and you could actually glue it to this piece right here. I did have to cut away the piece that holds the line, the pull lines. You can take that and just cut it loose really gently on each side and move it down if you need to. Let's see. But you can see that it is loose in here, and it can just be moved. I hope you can see in there. You can see that I've cut it loose, left it all in place, and it can just be moved down. Now you would have to come in here and move the servos this way a little bit. Just put you a block in here to raise the servos up a little bit so everything would come across. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the cockpit kit together, and I'm going to show you the parts of it, and then we'll go into installing the cockpit itself. Okay, here's the basic kit for the Mig cockpit. You have the floor and side walls. You have the dash, the rear of the cockpit. You got 2 panels that you have to cut out, the seat, and also the seat back, and then several resin parts. I'll show you where those go here in a few minutes. just like all my cockpit kits, you're gonna have to cut. You're gonna have to do some cutting out on your own. You're just cutting up to the edge. This is the back piece, cutting up to the edge all the way around the edge of it. You want to cut off anything that turns out. You can probably leave 3/38 to 3/32 wide all the way around. Now the biggest part you have to cut out is the side, the tub of the cockpit, more or less. What I do is I happen to have a wide set of pliers, and I make this where all you have to do is come in here. You can take up just a regular pair. You just have to do more crimps, and just crimp it right in the middle of that V there. It's just a fold, and this allows the cockpit walls to fold up. Okay, now I'm going to show you where you need to cut this. We're cutting away all the way around this flashing, all the way around the whole thing. Cut anything that turns out. All right, once you have all that cut out, what you do here on the end is this is the top, this is where the seat sits, that's the rear, and that's going forward. This thing's pointing forward. All right, from the rear corner here, right there in that rear corner, you're coming 6 1/8 inch forward and making a mark. And then you want to make a mark about an 1/8 inch wide on the other side of that. And you're doing the same thing on this side. This is the top rail now. Come from here 6 1/8 inch forward, make a mark, and then come an 1/8 inch for that and make a mark. And I've colored these in where you're going to cut out. You want to, along the top edge, you want to leave this just about 1/4 inch or just a little bit less than 1/4 inch wide all the way across. That's what fits up. That's what sits on the top here. So it's got to be just a less than that 1/4 inch wide there. All right. Once you get that cut out, we're going to come along the rear edge, rear and front edge, and we're going to come in here and we're going to cut. You're going to leave the top. You're just going to cut a little, relieve a little square there, all the way up around this edge. You'll cut it there and cut it there. You're going to do that on both sides, the back and the front, and you're going to do that on both sides. That's so it locks in underneath the cockpit itself. All right, let's see here. Let me grab the cockpit, the finished one, and I'll show you. All right. You can see here that I have relieved the end there. I have relieved it in the front, and I have cut the notch in on both sides. This allows it to fit in place. The next thing we need to do is, let me get the side panels cut out, and I'll show you how they're installed onto the cockpit base itself. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install these two cockpit panels here. This one and this one here, and they are individuals here. What you got to do is first you need to take these and cut them out, and cut them everything out to where it's just flush straight down the sides on both of them. Okay, they fit up over these the round pieces here, which is the tubular structure of the inside of the cockpit. And what you have to do is you have to relieve, I've already done this one, you have to relieve this area for these to fit in. And you want to take really good care and cut a little bit at a time, and so they fit flush down on this and clear the tubular part. Now the tops of them just barely crest over the top of this tube, so when you mark them, you want to mark them where you can see where the edge of it fits up, comes up against the end. Now the way I do this is, here's one that's uncut. The rounded piece, this is the one on the right hand side. The rounded piece goes towards the back of the cockpit. But what I do is, I take the temp, and I put it up against where I need, and I mark the end of it. You can see where I've marked that end. Then I turn this one around, and I use the same piece, and I mark the other one. Now what I do is I go ahead and just, you need to do a little bit at a time until you get it to fit flush down, nice and flush down here, and I do the top one first. So you're gonna cut both sides and get the top where it sits all the way down on there. Sits all the way down there on top of those two, on top of that tube there. Then what I do is I come down here and I mark, I'll take my pencil and I mark on here where the center of that tube would be. I put this back in place where it's over that tube, and I mark the center on here, wherever that center may be, which is up this way a little bit. Then I take that and I turn it around and I mark that edge. I take it there and I mark where that one would go. Alright, now what you have to do is you have to mark the center, figure out where this one goes back here, mark the center, and then use the edge of it back here to make your curve. Now you need to take your time and cut these out so it fits nice. You don't have a lot of you know, you can't see it once it's in place. You really can't see where it goes over. The real one was just a piece of sheet metal and didn't have this in here, but we're trying to make it fit up to the cockpit. Now I glued this on with just regular CA. Now this panel, before you glue it on, you do need, it had toggle switches, and you do toggle switches like I always do. I take toothpicks, I drill a real small, like a 1/64, 1/32 hole, and then paint the toothpicks. See if you can see it. Paint the toothpicks silver and stick them through and glue them on the back with CA, and you can glue them up or down or in the middle, either way. But you have to do that prior to gluing this in place. Now I did paint this separate. Oh no, actually, I tell you, I went back, and because I painted it, I put this all together, I went back and cut a hole and put my toothpicks in then. That way they were already painted silver and I had all this other painted first. The other side, you have several knobs that go on place. This is just painted black. They had looks like their throttle was just a knob on this slider here, and then of course you got I don't know what the cranks were for. There was a handle here, there. Either that's oxygen mixture, and then I guess that was a flat handle there. I do have also, there's two more control boxes here. Another I don't know if it was oxygen or what, and then I do have a flare pistol. Now it's a half a flare pistol. And what you do is take this, lay it up, mark the edge, cut it out, and then you have to come along here, mark the bottom edge, and be very careful and cut it out so this slides all the way through, because it was just a holder for it. And so that's your flare pistol was mounted to the wall there. Okay, those pieces are these are all resin pieces. You may have to do a little cleaning of the flashing around it. That's done with the X-Acto knife or a let's see here. You can see this piece has a little flashing. You can take X-Acto knife and carve it off, or you can take a small emery board or sander and sand it off. I do have a video that shows how to paint all these parts, but all these parts do need to be washed with a degreaser, or just like a good kitchen soap. Everything needs to be washed really well, and then primered with like a real light coat of automotive primer before you start adding your colors to it. Anyway, once you get all this put together, your chair and everything, let me grab the other. The chair is pretty straightforward. There will be a backing to the chair. You just have to paint. I paint it brown. It's like a padded back. It goes in place. You glue that to the back of the chair, and that chair mounts directly on this pedestal here. Once it's in the cockpit, this is the rear of the cockpit, because it actually had a former that the seat was up against. The dash is pretty straightforward. It was made, I do have 3 handles. There are 3 divots. You can, well, this is an early one. This is before I had put the divots in. But there's 3 divots for the handles to go in. Also, you have just some lights there. You have 3 toggle switches and 2 lights down here. You may want to put on the back a piece of balsa, where not just to harden this up and make it a little bit more rigid. This does go between the sides and is glued in place. I will get some more things together and then we'll finish up. Okay, here we are back at the plane. I've got everything together what we had before, and I'm going to show you how it goes, how it's easily installed. I did want to show you these panels. These 2 panels are glued right up next to the ends of the tubes here on both sides. The cockpit, the dash actually butts up against these tube ends, so these can be as close to the edge of the tubes as you can get them. Anyway, once you just fold it up and it'll slide right down in place. Just rotate it around and it'll lock right on it. Well, lock right on the edges. Now you should have all this, you should trial fit all this before you ever paint it. One thing you do is once you do glue this in and get installed, you need to take and let me show you. Put you a couple hard pieces of balsa across the bottom to make that nice and flat. Glue it from the corner to the corner, and I do one across the back and one in the middle and one at the front. It doesn't have to be but like a 1/2 inch wide, but make sure it's nice and hard balsa. And then once you're done, you want one piece that goes all the way from one fuselage side across to the other fuselage side, and that'll lock it in place and keep from vibration getting to it. Anyway, we're going to put it back in place. Alright, once that's in, the rear of the cockpit, you can put it in from this direction, but you're going to have to reach up under and pull it into place. I've made this, if you made all the cuts like I have shown, that this piece fits. Well, it's easier when don't have a camera in the way. Anyway, it will fit between the 2 sides and fit down the edge, and once you glue this in place, that'll make it very rigid across there. But that will hook right there and glue up the sides once you get done. The dash is really easy to put in. You just come up from the bottom and it slides into place. Like I said, if you make all the cuts like I've shown, this should just pop into place. The dash is there. The seat would be glued to the pedestal and right up against the back. Seat goes in there. Also included in the kit is your joystick. That goes right there. I did not do rudder pedals because they would have been in behind the dash and you really wouldn't have seen much anyway. Whoops. I do have a gun sight. Once you paint it up and put the reflector on it, you need to put a piece of balsa right there and sand it flat across the bottom and glue that to it in the center, and that gives you your gun sight. Anyway, this cockpit kit's really easy to put in. If you make the measurements like I showed and cut it, just don't cut this. You can straighten this up at the end if you leave it a little bit long, but you should be able to glue this down, glue the reinforcements in like I've shown, and that cockpit should last you a nice long while. It does fit nicely into the area of the canopy. Also, I did show some pictures on RC Universe with this pilot. This pilot's made from the Pilot people in the UK. It fits in, and you can bend him where he will actually fit all the way into the cockpit and not touch the canopy. So you can get him all the way in. Anyway, like I said, this cockpit makes a great addition to the airplane. It doesn't weigh a lot, and it'll be available from VQ Warbirds. So check with them soon. It should be available on their website pretty soon. Thank you.